Well, I learned from my grandmother on my grandmother's knee. She was always making a quilt from scraps of material. They weren't, these highly patterned decorative quilts like we make, though. Just utilitarian quilt with squares.
Ah. Well, girls, I had an old aunt when I was a girl that was a real favorite of mine. And she was always making quilts, but they were ugly. So when that poor lady died, there was 26 ugly quilts up in her attic, and there wasn't one family member that wanted any of them. So I made up my mind that I was going to start quilting decent or die trying.
So you do very nice stitching.
Well, thanks, Ruthie.
We lived in the country when I was a girl and just put new quilted tops and bottoms on old blankets and scraps of cloth. When I was a girl in those days, the saying was, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. It was the end of the Depression. There was a war on then, too.
What war was that, Agnes?
That's a knee slapper.
I don't understand.
Often we would use the material from empty feed sacks for the bottom side of the quilt. Come to think of it, we would use those feed sacks for our own bottoms sometimes.
Yeah.
We often made them into bloomers or undies. We would sometimes show them off to each other like they were special. All us kids were in the same boat where I grew up. No uppity kids in the country.
I hear you.
Speaking of hearing, here we go with Herb again. He was deaf. He couldn't hear anything. And I kept telling Herb, you need some hearing aids. So Herb goes out, and he gets new hearing aids. You know what he spent for those things? $4,000. $4,000 for the hearing aids.
I hope they were.
Well, he says they work fine. He can hear better now than he ever did. They're wonderful. So I says to Herb, I said, Herb, what kind are they? And you know what Herb said? He looks at his watch and goes, $12.30.
Sounds just like him.
Well,
Poor friend.
I had a serious hearing problem for a number of years. I went to the doctor, and he fitted me with a set of hearing aids that allowed me to hear 100%.
Well, your hearing seems to be perfect now. Your family must be very happy that you can hear good.
Oh, I haven't told my family yet. I just sat around and listened to their conversation. I changed my will 3 times.
Well, I always say, where there's a will, there's a relative. It's like I said, being married's fun some of the time. The problem is you're married all the time.
Oh, girls, I was quilting at home last week. By myself, minding my own business. My husband asked if I'd wash the sweatshirt. I said I was busy. Wash it yourself. He says, okay. He treks off, got lost, took a wrong turn at the bathroom instead of the laundry room, found his way. He's at the washer and he says, honey, what have I set the washer for? I said, what does your sweatshirt say? He said, Indiana University! That's what I get for marrying a college graduate.
It's the truth. Well, he is from Indiana University after all, probably the School of Business. Talking about business, I have a friend that's thinking of opening a quilt cabinet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, a friend of mine did that. She opened a quilt shop and a sewing shop, and she made a small fortune.
Really? How did she do that?
She started out with a large.
Hey, ladies, the fair's coming now pretty soon. And if you look at our supplies here, we're kind of running low on materials. We're going to all have to chip in again so we can get some more material.
I don't know. I've been thinking about that. I think we better ought to come up with some kind of idea on making some money instead of us chipping in for this material all the time. You guys got any ideas?
Let's rob a bank.
No, I don't think so.
I have an idea.
That's not good. That's not
Calm down. Keep your feathers down. I was reading this article.
Oh, we're so proud of you.
I know, I'm reading it too. Anyway, there was a senior group of ladies in a garden club, I believe, and they were from, let me see, I think it was England? No, maybe it was Kansas. Somewhere in there. And anyway, this group of older ladies, they got together and they thought, and they come up with this brilliant idea of making calendars. And then they made them nude calendars.
I don't think so. I do not think so.
Oh, now wait a minute. You know, we would do it tastefully. We would just be a little revealing. You know? We could do that. They made hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Darla.
And we need to think about this.
Darla, we are too old for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, we're not. Let me tell you something. There's an original group in England, raised over $1 million for leukemia, or something like that. And they were mostly in their 60s and 70s. One lady was 87.
If you think I'm going to pose the nude at my age, you're mistaken.
Hey, we can't talk like that in front of Sarah.
That's
You're
true.
shocking
That's
her.
right. That's right.
She would never do anything like that.
That's right.
Could this picture you're talking of be taken of a person from her back without her face showing?
I suppose so.
Why not?
Or, you know, we Amish all the same from the back. Would I be able to wear my bonnet?
I think why not?
I suppose so.
Then, since it's for a good cause, I'm in.
All right. Way to go, Sarah.
I never thought I would hear an Amish woman say that.
Way to go, girl.
Oh, boy.
You know what we could do?
What? What?
The magazine reporter. She probably wouldn't charge us much. We're already giving her room and board. It would be like tit for tat.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it is good to conserve expenditures.
Oh, for sure.
Well, Sarah, why is it that all you Amish are either named Miller or Yoder?
Well, you know what? Last fall, I was at a wedding, and the police showed up.
Really?
And they came in and they said, "Is there anyone in this group named Yoder?"
I bet nobody was there.
Half the congregation stood up. Seems that they were looking for a Yoder kid who was in town harassing people with zippers.
He didn't know what one was.
But there must be some with other last names.
Oh yes, there are others like Schrock and Stiltsfuse. We even had a few converts from the outside. Some Chops and Delagranges and a couple others that I don't even remember. But then, you know, there aren't any Klumpensteins or any Goldsmiths left. They all died out.
Right. Interesting.
It was due to an overabundance of daughters or the reluctance of their male descendants to follow more conservative paths.
Oh, that makes sense.
You know, Rose, I've been studying that. The study of names is called onomatology. Kind of traced my family back several generations.
Really?
Yeah, really.
How far?
Way
The Mayflower?
soon.
That's interesting. You know, we Amish, the earliest settlement in America, I think was back in Berks County, PA.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. In 1850 and 1880, most of the Amish joined the more liberal Mennonites.
You consider Mennonites to be liberals?
Everything is relative, you know.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, we have a lot of relatives. They show up at barn raisings and weddings and even wakes.
That's a good thing.
I'm so old now, the funeral home sends my free calendar 1 month at a time. Queen may be queen, but I'm the prime minister.
Oh, baby. What do you have to say?
Quit rubbing it in, Agnes, really, I know. I'm so old that I don't even buy green bananas anymore.
You know what, girls? Years ago, I asked my husband, Which was better, boxers or briefs?
What'd he say?
Depends.
Gesundheit.
What does that mean, Sarah?
God bless you.
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much for helping me get this room together for the reporter. I was really counting on the quilters, but you know, once again, they always have something more important to say or to do.
Oh, I do not mind helping you with this project.
You know, Sarah, it might be fun to have someone spend some time here for a while. I haven't really had a roommate since college.
What's college like? You know, we Amish only get to go to 8th grade in school.
Well, it's a lot like being in the 8th grade, but with subjects that you don't use when you get out of college or get a job.
I had a job. I was a waitress at the Come and Dine restaurant in town and another small restaurant in Napanee. You know, I had people coming in for lunch, and they would stop and they'd ask all of us girls about being Amish, and they would ask us to pronounce words because they were having trouble with our Amish words. And I had a couple sit down at my table, and they looked over at me and said, "Could you pronounce where we are? And could you say it slowly so we can get the pronunciation correct?" And I said, "Sure, Burger King." They looked a little embarrassed, but then they started laughing.
Sarah, if you don't mind my asking, how come you're not married?
I don't mind you asking. I grew up faster and smarter than the other girls, and the boys were always a little intimidated by me. Even after my father painted the front gate blue. That means there's a marrying age girl living in the household. Then all the other girls and boys, they started coupling off and getting married, and I was just odd girl out. By then all the young men were taken, and I wasn't interested in any of the older guys. And by that time, my dad said, I might as well paint the gate back white. You know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I understand. Oh, that must be the reporter. We finished just in time. Yes, come on in. The door's unlocked.
Hi, I am Pat O'Connor from Popular Quilting Magazine. Which one of you ladies is Joanne?
She is!
Bless you.
You are not what we were expecting. We were expecting a woman photographer. Can you tell me what kind of man takes pictures of quilts for a ladies' magazine?
One who likes to eat. All the female photographers were out shooting sports locker room stories and monster truck rallies and so forth. I'm technically a freelance writer and photographer. I go where I'm paid to go, and even if it's not much, and take pictures of what I'm paid to photograph. Scenery, hot rods, animals, naked women, and even quilts. I have 3 books and thousands of pictures to my credits.